Alright, y'all. Whoa, wrong way. Today's video is unplanned. We just went to the tracks, got the trailer, we're gonna unload everything. I wanted to post a track video on Monday, but time is not allowing, and I'm doing this daily upload thing, so I'm gonna get you guys a video today. If you guys want a racing video, don't worry, it's coming tomorrow. A little update on the race. Didn't really go as planned, but my new trailer and my rig setup, super happy with it, love it. I'm stoked, very excited about it, can't beat it. I'm like jumping for joy, made a post on my Instagram of like, I'm just in love with it, I love it. So, I got a bunch of footage I need to edit, but I don't have time. So we're gonna film like a quick, raw, uncut, 10-minute-ish video of just what we got going on in the shop right now, because I wanna get you guys your daily upload stuff. So if you go over to the LS Nasty YouTube channel, you'll see that we're going to be doing some renovations to like the race car room. We call that the race car room because we have, you know, nice floor in there. Really just like specialize in just the race car stuff. We're out here like we're doing like an LS and an S10 chassis and no, it's not that Monday. That's next Monday. Next Monday. So yeah, this is more like shop area, working on stuff. Phil's over here. Phil, what are you doing? Pulling the motor out of this.
Pulling the motor out of this? Hey, I heard you're gonna smoke me some ass tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna smoke you some ass tomorrow. We're smoking a butt tomorrow on Phil. We're smoking Phil's butt tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we'll fire up the trigger.
All right, so we just want to do a quick little rundown so I can get you guys some content today. Camera's on one bar, so if it just if the video randomly shuts off, that's as far as I got before the camera died. I'm gonna edit and upload it to you. So we got the Glizzard on the ground. This is like a big milestone for me. This is a big deal for me because I got this car and it was just like I'd say pretty nice rolling chassis. Set up for a different motor, changed the whole front end around, changed the engine combination, changed the transmission combination, put the rear end stuff back together, got new wheels and tires for it. We set it down on the ground for the first time and it's sick.
Yee! It is sick.
You gotta hit him with the sheesh.
I don't have TikToks on it.
You point to your arm and go, sheesh.
Sheesh.
All right. Give them a rundown what we got going on. We got some minor issues from parts that we used previously that we need to fix.
Yep. So
as we go forward.
We did this is a blower plate we used on, it's Monday. It's been a long day. It's hot. This is a motor plate we used when we had the Colorado. And it's already drilled for the blower bracket setup, and we were going to try to reuse it to maybe simplify it, but sometimes it's easier just to buy new parts instead of trying to reuse what you got, because then in the end you just kind of got a bunch of cobbled up stuff. So one of the issues, the holes aren't really drilled correctly because it had a stock block in the Colorado, this aftermarket block, so there's a lot more bolt locations that will bolt the blower bracket to the block instead of having brackets and stuff, so that would have to be changed. And then a lot of these LS motor plates, depending on the heads, especially these heads, these are predominantly worse than most of them. The passenger or driver's side cylinder head sticks out a little bit farther past the block.
They're offset.
Yeah.
You can see it right back there on the mid plate.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually not that bad on that.
No,
I mean, look at it here.
Yeah. So on the mid plate, we're good up here. So if some of the heads are like this on the front of the block, no problem at all. This one, it's hanging over, you know, probably a good 1/16 of an inch or so. So what it's doing is it's tweaking that motor plate out. Turbo setup probably don't really matter, you know, the motor plate's a little tweaked out, it's okay. The blower setup, since everything bolts to it, you don't want to have everything in a bind, so to alleviate this problem, we're going to get a motor plate from Quartermax. So the Quartermax motor plate is basically just like a regular motor plate, but on this right here, it's actually CNC'd on the back to clear the head. So when you run into this issue, the motor plate will sit flush against the block and the head.
It actually has a front and back.
Yeah. So, and the other motor plates, you know, which, you know, they're not symmetrical because, you know, they do have the cut out for the timing cover stuff so you can remove it, but at least that one you can bolt it up without having any issues with kind of head clearance and it tweaking it out. And also like the brackets are in different locations, you got a bunch of holes drilled in it, so we're going to do that. The oil pump drive on this one, originally we're going to do the AVA setup that bolts right to it, which is an awesome setup. It's bolt and go, you don't have to worry about bracketry or anything, but some setups you kind of got to do some custom stuff. So we're going to still run the AVA external wet sump single stage, but instead of doing the one that bolts the block, we're going to do one that's a blade mount. So the The oil pumps, they have a bunch of different blades. They can have the blade that comes to the left, right, up, down, square, all kinds of stuff. Some of them are slotted. That's how I have on MK Ultra. The bolts on, it's got a slot in the bottom, really easy to adjust, and it's rigid. You can bolt it straight to the motor plate because we got our blower brackets. I don't know if it's the right one.
That's the other side.
Yeah, so we're just holding it here just for representation. It's going to sit like this. So the other one, the pulley would be right here and kind of be some issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to get one that's a blade mount. We'll drill a hole here and here, slotted so we can adjust it. And the belt is actually going to go through the mount for the blower to the crank. So that way the belt would ride right here and kind of chill right here. So that way everything can clear. And then try to keep it pretty close. We're going to move it in pretty far as we can to where the pulley's just barely clearing this. That way we have a lot of room for our zoomies, because some of the stuff you can move, some of you can't. If you can move it tight, that's what you need to do, because you don't want to be like, oh, I'll hang the oil pump out here, and then when you're building your headers, you're like, damn, oil pump's in the way.
Yep.
So
also, the balancer stuff, a little bit more challenging than a normal balancer deal. Here, take this.
Yep.
And this for visual representation. This is off the Bad Apple.
Yep, so we're gonna have, so some of these balancers, they index on the outside, inside. That one's gonna index like that. That's gonna index there. We're gonna drill some holes for this. Everything's gonna sandwich. We're gonna have our crank trigger. Boom, set up. Shell will go on there, bolt to that. One of the things that you guys need to watch out if you're running LS, so they have the drive on the rear of this, and normally your oil pump or fuel pump drive would not be this large. You'd run like a 14 tooth on the drive mandrel. Well, with the LS stuff, I mean, it has to be, it's like 26 tooth or something, and it has to be that large because it's on the cranks now. It can't be any smaller. So if you run this, make sure that you run a very, very large pulley on your oil pump or your fuel pump, because otherwise you're just going to overspin it to death. Most of that stuff, like 4,000 RPMs, is about as far as you want to turn it. So, you know, you want a 2-to-1 ratio if you're spinning 8,000. You know, if you're going across your stripe and it's a couple hundred more, it's not going to hurt it. But
we've killed one.
Yeah, throughout the run, I mean, you know, when they come with like a 40 tooth pulley or something, the thing's going to be just absolutely zinging when you're going down the track. So you can damage the pump. The twin spur gear pumps aren't as susceptible to it, but any kind of gerotor pump or like the
Enderley.
The Enderley's real susceptible to it. It's got a single gear, it rotates, and the bushing's just not designed to handle that kind of RPM.
So Matt kind of spoke on the importance of, you know, you got to have your crank sensor, crank pickup, balancer. There's many different options you can run with this stuff. Why I've been stressing over this so much is it's very important to get your spacing right for the blower. This is set up, this stand, this length right here is set up for this balancer, which would sit like that, very close to it. By making it go out further like that, we're gonna have to space this out, and then you have to add this real estate to it. So it's very important. We've run into issues here before where anything that you put on the balancer needs to be hub centric. It needs to be in the center where it doesn't allow any wobble, especially on a blower combination. So I was stressing a lot. I talked to Matt a lot. I'm like, damn, it's got a 58 tooth reluctor in the back. We don't really want to run the 58 tooth reluctor. It's a solid roller motor, blower motor. We're probably gonna turn some RPMs. We really need to go with the you like the flying magnet?
I like the flying magnet. It's so the Gear 2 sensors are good, but they are very susceptible to the sensor gap. So if you're not making a bunch of power, it's fine. But when you're making, you know, 2,500 horsepower or something, the crank is flopping in there like a wet noodle.
Yeah.
So the flying magnet is a lot less. It's a lot more forgiving to crank deflection and sensor gap changes than the gear tooth magnet.
This deal right here, I didn't know. I was gonna try and get a balancer that had the magnets in it, but they were like, ATI was like, hey, we're out like 7 months and it's going to be like an additional $400 or $500. I'm like, holy smokes, that's ridiculous. Matt's like, hey, you know, these flying magnets, they're either hub centric off the center or off the outer of the balancer. So this right here, it's a 4 magnet. As you can see, it's kind of, what's the term I'm looking for here? I mean, it protrudes. It's stepped. And it locks in there, hub centric. You run all your bolts through, drill the holes, and then we're good to go. So I think that we're gonna be able to successfully mount the blower and all that. The only thing we're gonna have to do is add a little bit of real estate for our drive at the back. plus the material here for the flying magnet, and then we're good to go. Get our timing pointer going off there, have our crank sensor on there, and then we don't have to worry about the blower drive, because on this blower drive, really, there's not a super good place to run any sort of accessory off of it.
Yeah.
It does have a cog on there to run alternator, but that's stepped up. So like Matt was saying before, with your ratio, you know, we're gonna go to a step up for a blower. Now you're stepping up the drive of the pulley, and it's just like
you'd have to have like a 92 pulley on your pump.
It'd be insane. So this right here has been kind of, I'd say, like stressing me out a little bit, because it's like playing chess. If you play checkers here, you got all the wrong shit. Thankfully, you know, I got this. I'm really trying to be cautious and not buy a bunch of stuff that I can't use, because that's how builds, they really get out of hand quick. So really, it looks like the only thing that we're going to have to do with all of this is we're just going to have to extend the billet spacer. So Kyle over at New Era, he's like, just get me the measurement, I'll make the new stands, and we'll be good to go. So we're going to get that motor plate from Quartermax. You can see I can stick my whole finger behind it right here. That's how far it's bowed out. And obviously it gets worse the further down you go. So if you imagine the blower sitting on there, this side's flush and this side's cocked up, you know, when it's not gonna spin perfectly. You're gonna tear up a gear drive. I don't know, would it hurt the crank? I mean, something would be unhappy.
you want everything. The biggest thing, like if you have a blower car, you really want to make sure that your drive is mounted really good, especially like a crank driven one, because like all that stuff, it can be,
the further out from the crank you go, the worse it's gonna get.
Yeah, you know, you get a little bit of run out, like you're like, oh, that's not too bad, and it can really hammer on the bearings on the drive. So
also, Mickey at Williams Fab, I called him. I was like, hey, this oil pan, the front sump, I didn't look at it, but when we pulled the black sheep in here, I compared it. I said, it looks huge. He's like, get me a measurement. Got him the measurement. He's like, hey, that's kind of off. I'm gonna send you another oil pan. So big shout out to Mickey at Williams Fab. He's sending me another oil pan that's gonna have a shorter sump up front. We're gonna take the spacers out of the K-member and push it up, and we'll be good to go. So big shout out to Mickey at Williams Fab, standing behind his product. Nothing wrong with his oil pan. I think just for this application, I ordered a duplicate of the last one, and it's slightly off in its measurement, but he's stepping up to the plate and says, hey, we'll get you the right one.
He's got a lot going on. They were pretty, you know, decent time span between, but the pans themselves, I mean, let's check it out.
You can't beat that.
No, I mean, it's internally baffled. I mean, it's a good pan.
So there's your Glizzard update. We set it on the ground. It looks amazing here on the wheels and tires. So this is the setup. We got the RC component fronts. I need to put some air in the tire here, and the billet specialties in the rear. And other than that,
Joe gonna polish them, the ring.
Joe's getting the rings to polish. We're gonna wrap the car orange. I should be later this week, if not early next week. 4i front end with fenders, hood, doors, deck lid, and bumper coming in, and then Shannon over at Bloodbath Racing is going to make me a badass wing, and then we're going to get it wrapped and hopefully get it all knocked out. So MK Ultra's put out there.
QA1.
Yeah. All right, so there's your update. It's Monday morning. Sorry, it's Monday afternoon. We're filming this video at 2, so if I can get this out to you guys by 4, I hope you guys are having a great Monday. We're going to get to work. Tomorrow's video is going to be racing. LS Nasty, Small Block Ford Nasty, Bloodbath Racing, MK Ultra, action-packed video. You're not going to want to miss it. And then we are working out the final details for the LS Nasty Experience giveaway. So it's going to be a chance for you guys to come down here, hang out with us, ride in one of the race cars.
How awesome would it be if somebody won it that has a race car and they bring it down and we just
like we just race together?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. So get excited about that, and we'll check you guys in tomorrow's upload.
What are they doing over there?
AC.
AC.
Hey, you see how I'm looking like a sauced up rack of ribs, sweating?
Yeah.
We're getting AC over there, so.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Drop ceiling.
Hell yeah.
He gets the buy this round. Don Doc got to buy this round. The black sheep on the property. He got the buy to the next round.